stick with me here because karma finally caught up. The two-faced girl sent a completely ruthless divorce text to her poor husband. She knew exactly that we had been married for 6 whole years. The word I used to fear the most was simply divorce. While she was racking her brain for ways to manipulate me, my text suddenly popped up on her screen. I entirely agree. She hurriedly rushed back home in a total panic. Her heart was suddenly filled with an overwhelming sense of unease. Pushing the door open, she saw me chilling on the balcony. Behind me was a crazy 300-meter drop, but this dramatic scene actually made the panic on her face fade away completely. "Are you playing that extreme, dangerous falling game again?" She looked at me with pure, sheer disappointment. After all, whenever she hung out with her old crush, I always used the ultimate jumping threat card to keep her in line. She just waited for me to make my usual demands. But this time I gave her a polite smile. Then, completely without any warning, I spread my arms wide open and took a straight dive backward. Year 6 since the system dropped me right into this world. Finally, I get to go home. System checking. Target affection level drops below 60. Condition met to leave the world. Does the host wish to detach? My eyes held a trace of pain, but I did not hesitate to completely leave this world. Host has requested to leave the world. Congratulations. You return to your original world in exactly 7 days. Looking at the night view right outside the window, I felt incredibly emotional. Here is where it gets crazy, pay attention. This ridiculous soap opera was ending. I was a system tasker who accidentally crashed into this minor world. My main purpose was to fix the world-collapsing crisis by soothing the female lead, Sylvia, simply because the male lead, Julian, abandoned their massive wedding. But as a wild side effect, Sylvia's affection for me absolutely hit a solid 100. The system told me that if I left right then, it would instantly cause pure chaos everywhere here. With 0 choices left, I simply had to stay. Sylvia's love was bright like summer sun. During our days together, I subconsciously fell head over heels too. Finally, 3 years ago, I made the heavy decision to permanently stay in this mission world. But it was not until the runaway male lead Julian came back that I realized how spectacularly stupid my choice truly was. Looking at the intimate photos of him and Sylvia that Julian sent to provoke me, I watched her affection level for me drop to exactly 60. Today, I sat by the massive window, smoking and crying for a whole day until the sky turned pitch black. I took a huge drag of my cigarette and called the system out. If I leave right now, it probably will not cause the world to entirely collapse, right? Correct, host. After getting that clear answer, the system and I filed my application to leave. I seriously marked my exact departure date on my phone calendar. After doing all of that, just as I was about to turn off my phone, I suddenly received a message from Sylvia. "Bring me 2 packs of hangover pills to Lazy Bath Club room 808. Hangover pills." Sylvia was getting way too lazy to even invent a decent fake story. I randomly ordered 2 boxes on an app, turned my phone off, and went straight to sleep. In my drowsy state, the cold electronic voice suddenly echoed, totally shattering the quiet night. System notification. Target affection value jumped to 65. I snapped awake. You and I know that is wrong. Why did the affection value randomly go up? I asked the system to confirm while powering on my old phone. Countless missed calls and text messages totally flooded the screen. I opened the chat with Sylvia. The screen was filled with her apologies featuring long texts and voice messages. Honestly, I could not tell what was greener, the chat screen in front of me or the massive metaphorical horns on my head. Hubby, please do not misunderstand. Friends gathered tonight and Julian got drunk and accidentally grabbed my phone. That is exactly why he texted you. You know Julian always super clumsy like that. Please do not be mad, okay, hubby? Why did you shut down your phone? I hastily skimmed a few lines and lost all desire to ever read further. There is a very true saying, one single lie requires 1,000 lies to cover it up. Sylvia probably completely forgot that just this afternoon she claimed she had to attend an international conference tonight. Whatever. Since I had already decided to leave, Sylvia and Julian could do whatever they wanted. I absolutely could not care less. It was just that the affection level absolutely could not rise anymore. Host data shows everything is normal. Analysis suggests your wild performance tonight caused the target to feel deep regret, leading to a slight rebound in her affection. The system checked it a few times and finally could only advise me to just play dumb. I just needed to cooperate with her cheating and his provocations to maintain the stability of these stats. The next day, after freshening up, I opened the door and went right downstairs. I found that besides Sylvia, Julian was also chilling down there. What do you and I make of this? They were sitting together way too intimately close. Stick with me here. That sudden drop in affection, it happened the exact day Julian finally returned. Sylvia claimed she was stuck working overtime at the company that day, but in reality, she rushed to the airport for him. Every single time she lied recently about late nights or social events, she was actually just out hanging with Julian. Classic main character plot armor, right? I stopped overthinking it, shook my head with a smile, and casually headed downstairs. Spotting me, Sylvia quickly stood up and calmly explained Julian just returned from abroad recently. It really isn't safe for him to live completely alone outside right now. Let him stay at our house for a bit, is that okay? Julian dropped his sneaky smirk, sweetly called me Brother Carter, and obediently hid behind Sylvia, waiting for my final nod of approval. He looked totally innocent, like the guy sending me provocative texts daily was someone else entirely. I found it secretly hilarious, but I kept my cool. Watching this dramatic duo, I cheerfully said, "Sure thing. I will have someone clean up the guest room right next to our master bedroom. He can stay there." Hearing this, Julian wrapped an arm around Sylvia's shoulder, flashed a smirk, and said, "Thanks a lot, Brother Carter. Watch closely." His words seemed sweet, but his eyes held total hostility. Through our daily interactions, her system affection value kept dropping. For the remaining time, I just needed to cheerfully act like a totally clueless fool. I became their personal matchmaker, actively pushing Sylvia much closer to Julian's waiting arms. That way, Sylvia's affection would keep plummeting beautifully. I wouldn't be trapped by her love, letting me smoothly exit this crazy mission world forever. The massive photo wall by our living room was now fully covered with pictures of Julian and Sylvia. The very newest shot was from today, just moments ago. A bright photo of them in the glass greenhouse. Their heads leaned sweetly against each other, surrounded by a beautiful garden of champagne roses. It literally looked exactly like a romantic wedding photo. As for all the old photos of Sylvia and me, they were ripped down and carelessly dumped on a random side table like total garbage. Seeing that mess, my strong heart still felt a tiny sour twinge. I casually glanced through the huge window toward the garden and totally caught Julian staring right back. I clearly saw him flashing an arrogant victor's smirk. Then he smoothly dipped his head, kissing the corner of Sylvia's mouth. "You saw that too, right?" Sylvia smiled, pulling him in closer. I just withdrew my gaze, looking back at our fading memories. It really had been too long. Those photos were yellowing fast. Just like our old marriage, it was time for disposal. But Sylvia's next dramatic decision completely stunned me. Just for Julian, she didn't even hesitate to let go of our precious unborn child. It felt like she was tossing away a heavy burden, incredibly eager to eliminate that connection as fast as possible. When my system delivered this painful news, I quietly covered my face. A few silent tears slipped right through my fingers. Eventually, I forced a brave smile to comfort myself. Honestly, this is fine. Since she happily started a new life, I really don't need to hold on to any silly old illusions anymore. Besides, I was leaving this world soon. Time to clean house. Absolute trash firmly belongs in the trash can. I took this decisive chance to completely sever all our ties, destroying photos, handwritten love letters, sweet anniversary gifts, and those incredibly expensive collectibles won at fancy auctions. I decisively threw them out one by one, temporarily hiding them in the storage room. Right as I cheerfully finished packing everything away, I looked up and saw those two finally returning. The absolute second Sylvia saw me, she practically sprinted over. "Why do you look so pale?" Her warm, gentle little hand immediately touched my forehead. Finding zero fever, she finally relaxed a bit. "Why did you head out so early today? You didn't even take our personal driver. And you ignored your phone. Did you eat a good breakfast? Is it low blood sugar?" Sylvia snuggled into my arms, firing off rapid questions while looking genuinely worried. "I am totally fine," I laughed. "On the contrary, why do you look so terrible today?" Her eyes darted away with obvious guilt. Sylvia pulled out of my embrace, vaguely replying, "I don't. It was simply too sunny outside earlier. I got too much sun." Before I could even answer that, she hastily changed the whole subject. Sylvia's terrible excuse was exactly what I expected. I didn't probe further, just calmly looked outside. "Are you two done taking pictures?" Hearing me ask about the photos, Sylvia didn't look guilty at all. She just calmly replied, "Yes, we are done." Julian mentioned he wanted to take a few extra photos to send his parents so they could finally see them. Sylvia's heroic excuse sounded incredibly noble. He was actually the Zhang family driver's son. At age 9, after his biological father passed away in a tragic crash, the Zhang family graciously raised him. That profound childhood grace is truly unforgettable. After so many years, he basically considered the Jong parents as his own. I had nothing left to add. Julian, on the other hand, was full of pure, dramatic flair. Brother Carter, I noticed many photos of you and Sylvia were getting super yellowed, so I took them down first. I was going to restore them. You aren't mad, right? Of course not. Trust me, we know what's coming next. Let's dive right into this wild drama together. Julian just smiled brightly and replied calmly, "Of course not." I answered, and Julian grinned. "That's awesome. But where did your photos go? I remember leaving them right on the table." "I tossed them out," I stated flatly. Sylvia looked completely shocked, gasping loudly in pure disbelief. Her beautiful eyes, usually so full of love, looked totally frantic. Sylvia grabbed both my hands tightly, staring intensely straight into my eyes. "We had so many amazing pictures together. Did you honestly toss every single one? Why?" By the end, Sylvia's voice was actually shaking with emotion. I just did not understand this at all. Sylvia and Julian were already hiding so many secrets. Now she brought the guy right into our house. Why was she still pretending to be so madly in love with me? Is this all just for the affection stats? For a second, I really wanted to expose her total lies. But remembering the system's advice, I just pushed down my heavy, complicated feelings. I didn't toss them. The room was getting messy, so I took them to the study to organize everything neatly. Sylvia's worried frown instantly vanished. "Do not scare me like that again, okay? Every single moment with you is worth keeping. Those memories mean absolutely everything to me." Hearing those sweet words now just made my stomach turn completely upside down. I had to bite my lips super hard just to stop myself from feeling totally sick. Watch this part closely with me. The next day, seeing the system screen project Sylvia lying calmly on a hospital bed, I remembered her dramatic words. What about me? What about our secret before this? Sylvia used to be so incredibly careful, always planning for our future family together. And me, I noticed something huge. This month, her timing was exactly half a month late. We were expecting. In the past, Sylvia totally would have noticed immediately and happily shared the wonderful news. But now she hid everything from me, went to the hospital completely alone, lay on that medical bed, and just ended it all by herself. If it were not for the system warning me, I'd be left entirely in the dark. Sylvia rested quietly in the observation room for 2 hours. Once she felt totally fine again, she simply left the hospital. Back at our villa, Julian was chilling on the sofa like he owned everything. With Sylvia gone, he completely dropped his sad act. "Carter, Sylvia loves me. Why don't you just walk away? Are you blind? You saw the messages I sent, right? We are a perfect match, honestly. Is she ever that passionate with you?" I totally ignored his nonsense and just walked straight upstairs. Totally ignored, Julian got incredibly angry and chased right after me. Julian stood right on the steps. "What do you mean by staying silent? Do you honestly think avoiding this fixes anything? You and I both know this is totally crazy. I didn't understand Sylvia or Julian. If they really liked each other, that's great. Since Julian already won Sylvia's heart completely, wouldn't it be so much easier to just make her ask for the split? If she wanted a breakup, I really wouldn't hold on." Thinking this, I spoke my mind totally honestly. "If you can get Sylvia to leave me, I won't fight it." But surprisingly, that sentence completely triggered Julian's wild anger. Julian gritted his teeth and sneered fiercely. "Carter, if you know what is actually good for you, just walk away now." The second he finished talking, Julian used all his energy, raised his foot, and kicked me right down the stairs. My body in this world was already meant to weaken before I left. Tumbling down those stairs, I felt an intense, shocking pain all over. "Julian, are you crazy? Aren't you afraid Sylvia will find out?" Julian stood high on the stairs, looking down at my miserable state, and just smirked. "You do not actually believe Sylvia would pick you over me, right?" Julian walked downstairs, dramatically lay down right next to me, and called her. "Sylvia, please save me." I opened my eyes, watching this absolute circus, and struggled to stand. If Sylvia returned, my terrible condition wouldn't stay hidden. Her affection level had already dropped, but what if it suddenly rose again from this? That would totally mess up my departure. Whether she was faking or sincere, I really did not want to risk it. I could not gamble here. Turns out I worried for nothing. Sylvia rushed inside, saw us on the floor, and sprinted straight to him. "Julian, are you all right? Tell me, are you hurt? Do not panic. I am taking you to the hospital right now." Sylvia panicked entirely, helping Julian up and taking a few steps. Only then did she seem to notice me lying there. She barely even looked at me. Her tone was super cold and totally distant. "Carter, only foolish people play these tricks. I won't argue with you now. Go rest. Julian has a serious medical condition. I need to get him to the hospital first. I will definitely check on you later. I lay on the floor, feeling my body temperature drop, my energy fading away rapidly. Trust me, you'll want to see what happens next. I woke up later, finally getting some of my strength back. Stick with me here. Sitting up, I realized this nightmare was totally real. A serious injury had completely soaked my collar, and Sylvia, she still was not back. Avoiding the villa staff, I shakily called a cab and dragged myself straight to the hospital. The doctor gasped, "Good heavens, how on earth did you fall this terribly hard? The injury is stable now, and luckily you missed all the major vital spots. Just stay overnight for observation to see how you bounce back." That was the expert surgeon who actually treated me. Seeing me so low, he asked, "Where is your wife? You are married, right? You took such a nasty fall, so why is she not here taking care of you?" I felt unbelievably pathetic in that moment. Even this random doctor I just met was giving me that awful look of pure pity. But in that ward, it was just us. I dropped caring about that stupid affection stat entirely, so my words instantly became so much sharper. She is gone. Was rushing to meet her side piece, drove recklessly and crashed. Saying that brought this massive wave of relief, and I managed a real smile. The poor doctor's expression, though, it turned unbelievably stiff and awkward. He looked like he desperately wanted to comfort me, but literally had zero words. The very next day, outside the hospital entrance, I spotted Sylvia and Julian. Wearing a dark coat, Julian leaned right into Sylvia's embrace while she gently helped him into the back seat. Now pay close attention here. As the car started, the driver noticed me and asked Sylvia if they should stop. Before Sylvia could answer, Julian gripped his shoulder, let out a loud groan, and said, "Just drive." The accelerator that President Sylvia had just briefly released got slammed right back down. That luxury car zoomed past me without one single hesitation. Inside the car, Julian faked his tears, yet he still played the complete saint. Sylvia, Brother Carter, probably did not do it on purpose. Please do not stay mad at him anymore today. It is my birthday in 2 days. Let us invite Brother Carter to come have fun with us. Sylvia looked so deeply at Julian. She could not understand how anyone could be malicious. Julian was clearly just so incredibly kind and gentle. How could Carter push him down those stairs? Julian had a severe condition. His absolute biggest fear was sudden trauma and taking heavy damage. Was Carter trying to end him? Yet Julian was actually still foolishly defending that guy. Sylvia shook her head, finally letting out a heavy sigh. "Okay." Right at that exact moment, the system notification sound loudly chimed in again. System notification. The current affection value of the target is 50. I was still standing outside the hospital gates. The bitter winter wind chilled me to the bone, but honestly, I could not tell if I was freezing from the weather or if my heart had simply turned to solid ice. In just 2 short months, that affection got slashed right in half. Is a 50 affection level even called love? I know what you are thinking. Shouldn't love be pure? I asked the system these 2 deeply troubling questions. Obviously, the robotic system could not understand complex emotional drama at all. Host, I do not understand. I smiled so bitterly, no longer caring about these things. Time to say goodbye to my friends here, but in this minor world, my only reason for existing was Sylvia. So after all these long years, I had exactly one true, trusted confidant named Sean. Hearing I was leaving the country soon, Sean stared completely blankly for a long while before recovering. Why the massive rush? You never mentioned this before. I could not expose the system or missions, so I gave him a quick half-truth. Julian has returned. I refused to revolve my life around Sylvia. Back home, Sylvia was rubbing medicine onto Julian. But trust me, that gesture was definitely not looking very innocent. Seeing them basically glued together, I rolled my eyes and headed right upstairs. Unexpectedly, Sylvia called out, "Carter, just because Julian is not holding a grudge about you pushing him down those stairs, that does not mean you can skip your apology." Turning around, I saw Julian's completely smug eyes and Sylvia's buried anger. For a split second, I had zero idea what the right thing to say was. "Julian, you claimed I pushed you." He ignored me, gently tugging at Sylvia's sleeve instead. Playing the fake peacemaker, Sylvia, it is in the past. It does not hurt anymore. Sylvia gripped his hand back, her fierce anger rising even higher now. "Apologize right now." Immediately, I bowed down and gave an apology. It was me. I am a vicious, despicable villain for pushing someone down those stairs. Julian was incredibly angry, stomping his foot, but with Sylvia watching, he swallowed his fake rage and stayed completely silent. "Can I go now?" I suddenly asked with a blank expression. For some strange reason, a flash of pure panic crossed Sylvia's eyes. "Carter, watch your tone. Julian is young and suffered greatly abroad lately. Be a bit nicer to him. Just do not hold any silly grudges against Julian going forward. He truly sees you as an older brother. His parents passed, and since he is back from now on, the three of us are basically family. And that is where we leave it today." "Okay," I decisively replied, thinking playing nice works for now. Sylvia suddenly had no words to say. "Trust me, you and I have seen this drama before. Since Julian returned, she loved picking fights with me constantly, keeping me frozen out with her cold shoulder." I just stayed completely silent. But as I turned to leave, she threw another question at me. "I saw Sean's status update online. He seemed so reluctant to part with you during your last meeting. What does that mean?" When Sylvia actually brought this up, my hands clenched tightly for a second before I relaxed them. I just looked right at her with completely clear and honest eyes. "Sean is moving abroad next month. We probably will not see each other much anymore." Sylvia immediately breathed a very deep sigh of relief. "Julian's birthday party is the day after tomorrow. Maybe you should invite him to come too." That night, Sylvia still completely avoided returning to the master bedroom. I felt weird about it, but the moonlight shining outside was especially bright tonight. I woke up randomly and could not fall back asleep. So while it was still pitch black outside, I took the heavy box from the storage room out to the garden and just burned it all. Those fading photos were quickly swallowed by flames. At first they curled up, but soon turned to ash. The temperature was not high enough, so the remaining gifts and expensive jewelry did not burn completely, leaving a dark, ugly, and isolated gray pile. 2 servants living nearby spotted the garden fire and totally rushed over. "Sir, what is happening here?" The final flickering flame slowly went out. The evidence of our past love simply vanished. I casually dusted off both my hands. "Nothing. I'm just burning some old trash." "Go ahead and bury it in the greenhouse dirt." "Yes, sir." I walked back toward the huge villa feeling completely relieved. Watch closely now because the moonlight tonight was super bright. Just by looking up, I easily spotted 2 figures intertwined behind those huge second-floor windows. Those thin curtains were gripped tightly by 2 hands. Sylvia was forcefully embraced from behind, totally trapped in a position with no escape. In a quick blink, Julian's birthday finally arrived. This giant birthday party was personally organized by Sylvia. The venue was uniquely chosen at sea. 3 luxury yachts sailed side by side toward international waters. Before it even got dark, the banquet hall on the middle yacht was buzzing with pure excitement. Right in the middle of the crowd, Sylvia held Julian's arm, dancing a couple's dance to melodious piano music. Everyone had a very bright smile on their face. I was happy too because after today I could completely escape this annoying mission world. The whole dance felt a bit dull. Julian walked over to me holding a glass of wine. "Brother Carter, even with your stitches, you can totally drink this." I was not surprised Julian knew about my hospital visit. After violently pushing me down those stairs, he definitely would have checked my medical records. Acting like nothing even happened, I took it and drank a tiny sip. "Thank you." Seeing me drink it, Julian could not hide his excitement. You know what comes next. Evading security, he led me to a deserted balcony. "Brother Carter, do you not know? Sister Sylvia already got rid of your unborn child. Besides, you said if Sylvia knew you were fighting over another woman, she would be really furious, right? But your injury, didn't you get it from me kicking you? You are talking nonsense." Julian's voice unconsciously rose a few notches. "The force of my push absolutely could not cause that kind of wound. It was because you were already injured that I kicked you, so you admit that you kicked me." Julian unexpectedly fell right into my verbal trap. He angrily clenched his fists. "So what? There is nobody else on this balcony anyway. Who cares if I kicked you?" I waved my phone with a mocking smile. "It does not matter, I was just recording." Julian stomped his foot in fury, snatched my phone and threw it into the sea. My smile grew wider. "Just kidding, I was not recording at all." Before Julian could sigh in relief, I added, "But the living room in the villa definitely was recording." Before I could even finish, a sudden intense wave of dizziness hit me. My legs went soft and my vision blurred. Seeing this, Julian's tense brows finally relaxed. "Carter, what are you even laughing at, you want to say? The villa living room has a hidden camera? I had those wiped a long time ago. Did you really think I would leave evidence against myself?" I gripped the balcony railing very tightly to keep from falling. I angrily gritted my teeth and stuttered. "What did you give me?" "Just a little something to make you incredibly happy. Sylvia refuses to divorce you. Is it not because she minds that I lived with someone else abroad for years? Now it is perfect. Once you are filthy too, Sylvia will come to me. I never expected Julian to pull something so devious in broad daylight. Not far away, a strange, super creepy man was walking toward us, getting closer and closer. My head felt heavier by the second. I quickly bit down hard on my tongue. Drops of crimson fluid slid down the corner of my mouth, giving me a few seconds of clarity. But then Julian violently shoved me backward. So what do you and I make of this? He violently pushed me down toward that creepy man as the red drops completely spilled from my mouth. Come along with me here. I looked completely helpless while Julian stayed perfectly relaxed, kicking my chest super hard. Those fancy custom leather shoes made it seem like he was furiously defending his image. He crouched low, whispering fiercely word by word, "Carter, forget about Sylvia coming to find you today. She is waiting for me right now anyway. I will stay by her side tonight. Just relax." My completely powerless body was then dragged away into a totally unfamiliar and mysterious room. Along that dark hallway, scary guys kept trying to grab me everywhere. Before even reaching that room, my outfit was completely ruined and chaotic. Pushing the door wide open, this guy totally pinned me down, forcing a terrifying moment that was literally full of pure aggression and rough energy. Being completely held down, the sharp pain actually made my mind clearer. With just one single day left to return to my homeworld, I refused to accept this bad fate. Then I spotted a glass vase on the nightstand nearby. Let's dive right into this mystery. I stopped fighting, playing along as I stepped toward the bed. The shady guy just laughed. "Guess you finally know when to quit, huh?" He smirked, yanking me forward into his sneaky trap. But in a flash, I totally flipped the script, grabbing a heavy glass vase and smashing it. Water and shattered glass exploded everywhere, turning the whole room into total chaos instantly. My hands were visibly shaking, my heart was racing super fast, and my entire mind spun wildly. Half of me thought I had just completely ruined the mission. The other half felt so relieved. But before I could even relax, the guy on the floor stumbled up. "You really dare defy me!" he yelled, lunging forward angrily. In a total panic, I gripped the broken vase base, bravely pushing back and defending myself with everything. Now watch closely. I have no idea how long passed before everything finally went totally quiet. I opened my eyes. The guy was on the floor, completely defeated and dizzy. I was so totally stunned, I dropped my heavy weapon. The heavy base of the vase clattered to the floor, joining the massive, messy pile of broken glass. I quickly stumbled toward the door, but it was locked tight from outside. I instantly knew this was definitely Julian's sneaky little trick. Looking right at the defeated villain still spinning on the floor, I shook my head, feeling totally weirded out. I seriously couldn't share a space with him. I quickly dashed out to the balcony and locked it. After making sure nobody could enter, I finally felt safe enough to curl up on the balcony. You feel that relief too, right? It was completely dark. The wild sea wind howled loudly, carrying a salty scent. Staring right into the mysterious night, I totally felt like I might be swallowed by it. I was just one step away from feeling totally overwhelmed. Then suddenly a system notification magically rang out loud. System notification. The current affection value of the target is 25%. Honestly, I was just too exhausted to care why it had dropped so much. I just peacefully waited for dawn to arrive. I confirmed with the system that once the sun rose, I could escape this mission. Meanwhile, right before Julian went to find Sylvia, he also drank some delicious spiced wine. Right now, Sylvia looked at Julian with such an uncontrollably dreamy, infatuated expression. Thank goodness the person Julian was hanging out with was her, honestly. They happily stayed up chatting and scheming all night until the sky turned pale. As for me on the balcony, watching the distant horizon glow bright red, my heart raced. Dawn arrived. Trust me, we just survived an epic night. Stick with me, you are about to see the ultimate escape. I leaped from the balcony into the deep sea, issuing my absolute final command. System log out of the world, request confirmed. A gentle beam of light shined down. I simply turned and vanished without a trace. Even the ocean ripples quickly faded to perfect stillness. Hurry up, someone just fell straight into the water. Quick up on the deck, a few early risers watching the sunrise totally panicked after seeing someone fall right in. They stood there, jaws dropped, completely stunned, and then screamed for help. The peaceful morning was completely shattered. After confirming the exact drop zone with those shocked witnesses, the crew rapidly launched a massive rescue operation. Right there, the anxious crowd on the deck kept growing larger. The rescue team had already dived down into the water several times. The search radius kept expanding outward by several circles. The more time passed, the slimmer those chances of survival really became. Before setting sail, management repeatedly warned the crew that the guests on these 3 yachts were insanely rich and powerful elites. They could not afford offending anyone and had to give 100%. They heard the frantic cries and immediately jumped in to save the victim, but there was absolutely nobody to be found down there. Now watch closely, you and I know the truth, but the anxious crew secretly wondered if this was just some sick prank pulled by the rich kids on deck. The intense search continued non-stop. Meanwhile, the panicked young people up on the deck started arguing. "Did you actually see someone fall right there?" "Didn't you say you saw it too?" "I did not. I just heard a massive splash." Would not a drowning person yell for help? Even if they cannot swim, they would flail around a bit, right? Stick with me here. Did someone actually fall, or was this guy just daydreaming? We're about to find out. The whispers spread as everyone quickly second-guessed what they saw. Tick-tock. Suddenly, 30 whole minutes flew by. Heavy tension gripped the main deck and rescue boats. They all knew the awful truth. After this long in the water, anyone would be totally gone. Scrambling in panic, the yacht crew quickly pulled up the deck's main security footage. See? He wasn't crazy at all. The security tape clearly showed a blurry figure splashing right into the dark, freezing waves. The doubts vanished immediately. Anxious guests just stared at the ocean, praying for updates. Others endlessly dragged that video progress bar back and forth, desperate to catch a clear look at the victim. Meanwhile, that terrifying panic on deck completely bypassed Sylvia and Julian in their private room. Surrounded by a super cozy and intimate vibe, Sylvia rested in Julian's arms. She looked up genuinely worried. "Julian, are you still feeling totally sick?" Julian stayed completely silent, just burying his face into her soft hair. After a long pause, he whispered softly, "Not sick, just really comfortable." Sylvia stared up at him, flashing back to last night's crazy drama. Julian sleepily confessed his sudden weakness was all because of the strange wine Carter gave him. A sharp, dark look flashed in Sylvia's eyes. Lately, Carter kept targeting Julian non-stop. Carter shoved him downstairs, and sweet Julian barely held a grudge, only wanting an apology. Unbelievably, Carter decided to push things even further than before. He literally spiked Julian's drink. Since when did Carter get so unbelievably mean? Sylvia kissed him gently. "Now watch this." Her touch was soft, but her tone was pure steel. Carter crossed a huge line. "Don't worry, I'll definitely get justice for you." Julian looked up, tears already welling in his innocent eyes. "Sylvia, I'm genuinely terrified. Yesterday, he literally threatened to completely destroy me if I didn't stay away. Sylvia, please divorce him. If my poor parents in heaven knew I lived with a monster, they'd never rest." Julian's parents were basically Sylvia's saviors. Hearing that, Sylvia quickly looked away. A divorce was a massive deal. "Just relax with me around, he wouldn't ever dare. I promise you won't suffer anymore." Sylvia quickly jumped up and rushed straight to the bathroom to wash her face and get fully dressed. She honestly didn't know why, but that sudden divorce talk made her completely panic. Breaking things off right now was entirely impossible. She would absolutely never divorce Carter. But what about sweet Julian? She always thought Carter was her one true love, but now she realized she was totally falling deeply in love with 2 different guys. "You and I saw that coming, right?" Her mind was spinning, totally missing the toxic glare Julian flashed from the bed. His fists clenched tight, but a second later he chilled out. She might love Carter now, but just wait until she catches her precious husband sleeping in some total stranger's bed with her own eyes. She would definitely leave him after that. Soon they both marched right up to Carter's door. Sylvia knocked twice, getting 0 response. Losing her patience, she straight up called the yacht's security to kick the door down. But Carter was completely missing inside. The bed was perfectly made, and absolutely nothing in the entire room looked even slightly touched. It looked like Carter never even entered this room. Seeing this, Sylvia just grew way angrier. Did he mess up and get too terrified to face it? Only knows how to hide, they're on a big yacht. Where could he possibly go? Sylvia randomly pointed at a few staff members. "Go drag him back here right now. If he's hiding, search every single room one by one." The worried staff quickly scattered. Sylvia tiredly rubbed her aching temples, turning to walk toward the restaurant. She thought to herself, once she caught Carter, how could she teach him an absolutely unforgettable lesson? Before she could decide, several frantic crew members rushed over and completely blocked her path. "Boss," Sylvia finally found you. Something terrible happened. Boss, someone fell in the water. No, it wasn't an accident. They jumped. They threw themselves right into the ocean. Sylvia's face instantly went completely serious. She personally threw this lavish birthday party. The absolute elite were gathered here and something like this happened. The panicked staff babbled endlessly explaining the entire morning's deck drama. Because the huge shock hit so hard and everything happened so fast that security video was incredibly blurry. The rescue team was currently searching underwater, but it had been over 30 whole minutes. He nervously checked his watch. Honestly, the odds were looking terrible right now. But Sylvia had built her massive empire from absolute scratch step by step. She was way calmer than these spoiled rich kids. I will contact a professional dive team. You guys grab people for the security room to identify the jumper. The absolute fastest an outside rescue team could arrive was 3 long hours. Everyone basically knew this was just a grim search mission at this point, but she desperately needed to see the person herself. So what do we make of this lost or safe? Sylvia absolutely wouldn't let someone just vanish into the cold sea. Sylvia marched straight onto the deck, watching the yacht's rescue staff dive down time and time again with absolutely zero luck. The annoyed chatter of nearby guests echoed in her ears. Such a massive party totally ruined who exactly was this incredibly unlucky guy. Let's dive right into this mystery. If a VIP fell, everyone would be screaming. No security cameras needed. Must be just staff. But as the ocean winds roar, the noise turns deafening. Suddenly, a heavy, unsettling dread completely takes over Sylvia's beating heart. Her phone buzzes. Sylvia suddenly feels absolutely terrified to even pick it up. Only when the call almost drops does she finally answer. Her guy speaks up. Boss, the guy who fell overboard. They actually found him. That shaking, unsure voice on the line only makes Sylvia's dark panic grow 10 times worse. She tightly clenches her free fist nails, fiercely biting her palm. She croaks out, "Who is it?" Sylvia doesn't even notice her own words wildly shaking. The caller stays quiet for a second, then mutters, "Boss, you really need to come see this yourself." Sylvia gazes around, totally lost, unsure who she even expects to spot. Then she quickly turns and walks away. After a few steps, her search team for Carter sprints back, looking totally defeated. She demands, "Where is Carter right now?" Sylvia sounds incredibly frantic. The guys shake their heads in pure defeat. "We checked every single room, totally empty, except for one room." Hearing he is missing her deepest fears, those dark thoughts she kept hiding just explode into absolute chaos. Did Carter actually fall? Sylvia desperately wonders this in her mind, but instantly rejects the awful idea. No way! Carter is probably just terrified of his own actions and hiding somewhere safe. That has to be it. Sylvia refuses to hear their excuses and snaps back. "Go look again right now. Check every single corner." The guys immediately scatter across the ship. Sylvia keeps moving fast, rushing straight toward the main security room. As she walks, her mind completely races. If Carter is truly this scared once found, assuming Julian is okay with it, she might just forgive everything. Honestly, Julian was totally unharmed. Picturing this exact thought, Sylvia actually flashes a rare little smile. It feels like she finally struck a perfect, peaceful balance between both men. But hold your breath here. The moment she hits the security room and sees their terrified faces, that smile instantly drops. Boss, the guy who fell overboard, it honestly looks just like Mr. Carter. Sylvia stumbles backward, completely shocked. Those terrifying words hit her like a massive lightning strike out of absolutely nowhere. Sylvia feels her lungs basically freezing up. Shaking wildly, she screams out loud, "That is impossible!" Sylvia pushes everyone away and lunges at the giant screen. In that blurry corner footage, you can barely spot a guy curled up tight on the ship's balcony. As sunlight hits him, the guy simply stands tall and jumps straight down into the ocean without even pausing. This terrible clip is way blurrier than before. Sylvia grinds her teeth, glaring at the crew with pure anger. "You literally cannot see a face here, and you idiots dare to tell me this blurry guy is Carter. Why not claim it's your own guys, huh? Speak up." Normally, Sylvia acts perfectly cool and professional, treating everyone with calm and composed business logic. Nobody has ever seen her snap like this. Finally, someone bravely steps right up, clicks the mouse, and plays another clip. "Boss, Sylvia, just watch this." It is clear hallway camera footage. On screen, it is crazy clear. A totally dazed Carter is stumbling, being pulled by some guy straight toward the very last room down that hall. The whole time, those nasty hands keep wandering all over Carter. Sylvia watches Carter weakly fighting back. Tears pour down, leaving her eyes completely raw and red. I know you see where this is heading. The guy is the real problem now. A guard whispers softly. Boss, they walked straight into room 309. That awful balcony shot from earlier, also room 309. She refuses to accept this nightmare. Carter is only hiding because he is scared of me. Sylvia aggressively grabs his collar with one hand, shrieking in complete denial. That is impossible. I said that's impossible. Dropping the terrified guy, she instantly sprints away, bursting right into the completely trashed room, 309 at the hall's end. Sharp broken glass covers the entire floor, and massive dark red stains are heavily pooled all over. A shady guy lies there gasping. Sylvia's team rushes in behind her, sees this absolutely wild mess, and freezes in horror. Hearing loud footsteps, the guy actually thinks rescue has finally arrived. He yells frantically toward the open doorway, "Please save me!" Sylvia just stares down at this shaking loser slowly crawling over. Those disgusting camera clips replay non-stop inside her blazing mind. It is exactly him. He totally abused Carter's helpless state, using his nasty hands to harm him. Does a creep like this even deserve to keep them? Sylvia steps forward and ruthlessly stomps her shoe right onto the guy's hand. She throws her full weight down, grinding it into the floor without mercy. Her razor-thin stiletto heel violently pierces straight through his hand. The guy shrieks in pure agony, sweating buckets, utterly failing to yank his trapped hand free. His heavy body thrashes wildly. Tell me right now, where is Carter? Help. Where is Carter? The balcony. He's there, I did nothing. Trust me, we need to see what happens next. Please, miss. Sylvia lifted her foot, but before the guy could even relax, she kicked him brutally and forcefully shoved open the balcony door. She froze right at the threshold, her legs feeling as heavy as lead, unable to take another step. Moments ago, she held on to one final shred of hope. Maybe Carter was just hiding in the corner of the balcony waiting for her rescue. But the balcony was completely empty. Zero sign of Carter anywhere. Sylvia's hands started to tremble. A painful electric shock rushed through her entire body. Her heart hurt so incredibly much it truly felt like it was tearing completely apart. Since last night, the deep unease had been spreading, finally erupting completely at this very moment. And right now, Sylvia could no longer deny the brutal truth. Carter was gone forever. He jumped into the sea as if completely unable to bear it anymore. Sylvia's legs totally gave out. She dropped straight to her knees. Before her was the vast, deep sea, silently accommodating everything, endlessly swallowing everything. Sylvia did not dare to think if she had just cared a bit more about Carter last night, would none of this have happened. Overwhelming remorse with absolutely nowhere to vent. Sylvia, her eyes burning, ran back into the room, grabbed the man on the floor, and beat him completely senseless. Watching the terrified man gasping for air, looking like an absolute mess in her hands, the shocked bystanders finally rushed in to pull Sylvia away. You cannot hit him anymore. Stop, you will end him. Get lost. Furious Sylvia did not care about anything, aggressively shoving the people away. She had completely lost her mind. She truly wanted that man destroyed. Seeing this, Julian tightly hugged Sylvia from behind. Good Lord, he only wanted to use this incident to make Sylvia and Carter finally divorce. Who knew Carter would take it so hard jumping into the sea to escape? That worked out pretty great. We both saw this coming. Julian's beautiful illusion was quickly shattered, now having lost absolutely all his privileges with Sylvia. She threw him to the floor with just a single hand. Get out! All of you get the hell out! Julian fell hard, eyes wide, in total disbelief. He had never seen Sylvia like this. Was Carter truly that important to her? But no matter how important he was gone forever. How could a phantom compete with the living? Julian quickly comforted his own ego. But before he could even relax for a few seconds, the men Sylvia had sent to find Carter suddenly rushed back inside. The words they spoke made him jump in absolute shock. Boss, Sylvia, the rescue team found a phone underwater. It really looks like Mr. Carter's phone. Sylvia finally looked up from her intense rage. The men lowered their heads, not daring to look her in the eye. Boss, please restrain your grief. Although we have not found Carter yet, everyone knows he fell into the water several hours ago. Even if a god reincarnated, he would not survive. Sylvia slowly stood up and let out a cold laugh. Her eyes were full of absolute sharpness. Restrain my grief. Restrain what grief? Who said, Carter is gone. It is just a phone. Sylvia did not scream, but her quiet questioning was somehow even more oppressive. The man in front answered anxiously. Boss, this phone case. What about the phone case? It is just a normal phone case. What makes you say it is, Carter's? Is this how you search for people? The security footage recorded everything. Witnesses clearly saw Carter on the deck. Witnesses saw him jump. Trust me, this floating phone means everything. All right, you and I are jumping into an insanely emotional story. Every single clue screamed that Carter was swallowed by the ocean, gone forever. But Sylvia, usually an absolute boss, completely lost her grip here. She built massive walls around her heart to block out the painful truth everyone else already knew. Her friends seriously couldn't stand watching this anymore and stepped up to intervene. Boss, you must calm down. Carter is gone. We know you are completely shattered, but lying to yourself like this will not fix anything. Those who leave us cannot return. Please hold it together. Sylvia's freezing gaze slowly swept right across everyone who had just spoken. She said absolutely nothing, but her fierce warning was crystal clear. Everyone instantly silenced themselves. Julian, however, ignored the heavy tension and ran over, hugging her incredibly tightly. Sylvia, they are right. Brother Carter is truly gone, but we still have to keep moving forward. Sylvia, you always have me. I am staying right by your side. Sylvia stood completely frozen, but her frantic mind instantly drifted back to yesterday. Last night, she was holding Julian tightly, hanging out with him for hours, while Carter was trapped out in the freezing rain, struggling totally alone. Remembering that, she suddenly felt that the boy in her arms was not sweet at all, but an absolutely terrifying two-faced monster. She reached out and shoved him right to the floor. Stumbling backward in front of her, Julian felt completely embarrassed and incredibly furious. He just sat on the floor, quietly dropped his head, and faked looking super fragile to gain everyone's sympathy. More people gathered inside the room. A few guys acting like Julian's loyal bros simply could not handle this intense drama anymore. Now watch this part closely. Real talk, Carter is completely gone. Why fake this deep sadness, boss Sylvia? Her eyes widened in pure shock. What did you say? Am I wrong? Boss, haven't you been with Julian this whole entire time? Now that Carter is permanently gone, doesn't that open up his spot perfectly? Exactly. At the last gathering, didn't you admit it yourself? You said, isn't Carter vanishing forever exactly what you always wanted? Who are you putting on this fake act for? These brutal words instantly pierced Sylvia's ears. Sylvia instinctively wanted to completely deny it, but she found that their harsh words were the absolute truth. Sylvia had absolutely zero way to fight back. She collapsed helplessly onto the floor, shoulders hunched, curled up in a totally pitiful posture, until her heavy tears finally dropped. She completely broke down quickly, covering her face with her hands, sobbing uncontrollably. She had clearly promised to love Carter wholeheartedly forever, but in just a few short years, because of Julian, she completely neglected Carter time and time again. She foolishly thought she could balance it perfectly, but it turned out she could not handle it at all. She traded Carter's safety for Julian's birthday. She was the one who ruined everything for Carter. Sylvia let out a tragic smile, finally accepting the devastating reality that Carter was gone forever. Give me my husband's phone. The second she said that, Julian suddenly jumped up in a total panic and directly raised his hands to quickly stop her. No, everyone's eyes instantly locked onto Julian. His hands were shaking from the tension, but he still gripped Carter's phone tightly. He suddenly remembered that yesterday on the balcony, Carter claimed he had turned on the voice recorder. Julian didn't know if it was true, but he refused to risk even a 1 in 10,000 chance of failing. He worked incredibly hard to get everything he had now. With Carter permanently gone, he could very soon chase Sylvia. If his plans were exposed by a recording, wouldn't all his hard efforts be completely wasted? Thinking about this, Julian became way more resolute, directly hiding the device behind his back. Sylvia, this is Brother Carter's personal belonging. Let us go home and carefully pack it away together, okay? Staring at it now will only amplify your sorrow. The most urgent mission right now is to go find him. Julian thought he sounded incredibly reasonable, but Sylvia ignored every single word. Hand it over. Do not make me say it a third time. Julian dared not say another word, taking small steps forward, holding the phone. You and I both know he is panicking. With every step, he mashed the power button, praying the water damage was fatal and it wouldn't start. But right as he handed the phone to Sylvia, the dark screen suddenly lit up. Julian completely panicked and reached out to forcefully grab it back, but he was way too late. Sylvia took the phone and silently removed its case. When she saw the hidden photo of them tucked safely inside, she completely froze. Unable to bear the overwhelming emotion, she sobbed until her body shook. The water-damaged photo was slightly bleached out, blurring the bright smiles of the two young people inside the picture. He had long been engraved deeply in Sylvia's heart. This was their beautiful marriage registration photo. He absolutely loved it so much. She kept hers inside her business card holder. Every time she handed out a card, she proudly introduced him. "This is my wonderful husband." He kept his copy safely in his phone case. The more she vividly recalled their past, the harder it became to accept reality. Why did she ever betray Carter? That's where we leave it. Teary-eyed Sylvia unlocked his phone, desperately wanting to see if Carter left anything. The broken screen barely responded, hiding his final secrets. "Let's dive straight into this wild mystery." Sylvia clicked through, opened an audio file, and heard Julian's voice. "Carter, did you seriously not know Sylvia already got rid of your baby? Plus, you knew she'd be absolutely furious if she found out you fought over another girl, right? My simple push was way too weak to cause that nasty injury. I only kicked you because you were already hurt." "Wait, what's so funny? Carter, are you seriously laughing?" A hidden camera in Sevilla. "Please, I wiped those files forever ago. Did you honestly believe I would just leave clear evidence lying around to frame myself? Just a little something to make you smile. Sylvia won't divorce you because I lived abroad with someone else, right? Perfect. Once your reputation gets completely ruined too, she will definitely come running straight back to me. Watch carefully here. Enjoy tonight, Carter." The recording ended and the chaotic room became absolutely, completely silent. Sylvia stared at Julian in absolute pure shock. The audio file looped and his voice echoed loudly again. "Carter, do you not know Sylvia already got rid of your baby?" She was stunned. This Julian on the recording sounded exactly like a complete, total stranger. Carter actually knew her hidden secret all along, and Julian was the one who kicked Carter down the stairs only to immediately turn around and frame him for it. Everything Carter suffered last night was completely orchestrated by Julian. Sylvia practically slammed her head in frustration. She simply couldn't imagine the unfair injustice Carter had suffered lately. Bullied so mercilessly by Julian, yet Carter never even complained to her a single time. "You and I both feel her regret, right? She failed. Carter completely feeling like absolute trash. Stick with me, you and I are about to dive into pure drama." Sylvia's sharp, furious gaze locked straight onto Julian. Julian turned totally pale, lips shaking. "Sylvia, just listen. It's really not what it seems. Julian jumped down there and pay for losing Carter." Sylvia sounded like an absolute nightmare. Hearing that everyone in the room, not just Julian, went completely pale with shock. They had just seen firsthand exactly how ruthless Sylvia could get with the guy who dared to attack Carter yesterday. If the crew hadn't held her back, she would have completely destroyed that man forever. So telling Julian to jump in after Carter, not a joke at all. Julian's legs gave out, dropping straight to his knees in heavy tears. "Sylvia, you really cannot treat me like this. I know you're completely heartbroken over losing Carter, but I never wanted this outcome either. I simply wanted him out of our way." "Sylvia, you know I love you way too much. Is loving someone an actual crime?" Julian cried so pitifully, pouring out his desperate feelings for her. "I admit I was wrong, but we grew up side by side. We clearly had feelings. Why did you suddenly fall for a guy who just appeared out of nowhere? Sylvia, you promised you would always wait for me, always cherish me. Have you completely forgotten our past? Let's pretend Carter never existed at all. Let's start completely fresh just like before, okay?" Julian knelt down, begging helplessly. A few onlookers were actually moved by this, their disgusted glares slowly softening into pure sympathy. After all, rich families always have wild drama, especially in these high circles. Now watch closely. To them, Julian's sneaky tactics were totally normal rich drama. Honestly, they just saw Carter as way too soft, totally useless in this brutal world. One poisoned glass ruined his fate. Somebody finally stepped up to plead for Julian's case. Boss Julian actually makes a fair point. "Shut up." Sylvia lost all patience, instantly snapping back. "Do not ever show your face again, and you better not be hiding any more dirty secrets from me." Hearing her intense anger, Julian bawled and wildly shook his head. "No, please, Sylvia, for my family's sake, just forgive me this once. I truly love you." "I cannot leave." Sylvia just stared back, her icy gaze empty of feelings. "If your family hadn't stepped in, do you really think you'd be standing here today?" Julian refused to back down and tried arguing, but some quick-thinking guys immediately dragged him out of there. Pushing her any further might destroy his family's last shred of grace. The tense crowd slowly filed outside. That guy who was nearly smashed to pieces by Sylvia had already been dragged off much earlier. Sylvia sat all alone on the ground, clutching his phone, her chest tight, like an invisible grip was suffocating her. When exactly did Carter take up her entire heart like this? Just one simple smile from him could light up her whole day, and he felt exactly alike. His entire focus was always on her. She truly never imagined a tragic day she would lose him. You and I saw this coming, right? Julian completely humiliated her at their wedding. Standing at the altar, holding the diamond ring, she waited only to find he had already fled overseas, just leaving a cheap message through his friend. Does a driver's daughter actually deserve to marry me? Heartbroken, Sylvia locked herself away, drinking non-stop until she ended up in a hospital bed. That hospital stay was exactly where she first met Carter. He became this brilliant ray of sunshine bursting into her world, totally pulling her away from the toxic darkness of her past relationship. Beneath the moonlight, Sylvia finally confessed. She called Julian a moon lost in shadows, while Carter was the bright sun keeping her warm. Only by his side did she find the real motivation to keep living. Carter chuckled, teasing her for being super cheesy, but with teary eyes, he happily nodded and accepted her emotional moonlight confession right there. Yet Sylvia clearly remembered holding him super tight as he whispered, "You must always cherish me. If you ever stop, I am gone. Never lie to me. I see everything." Those incredibly sweet memories now felt crushing. Staring blankly at the balcony, Sylvia muttered repeatedly, "Carter, did you disappear because I lied? I am sorry." She passed out in a heavy daze, feeling like hours flew by, but checking the clock, barely 30 minutes had actually slipped away. Both her hands were covered in tiny cuts, looking absolutely gruesome as the wounds finally scabbed over. If Carter was still around, he would definitely scold her for being careless while sadly grabbing the first aid kit to properly bandage her up. But he was gone. Sylvia roughly wiped her face, brushing away the tears. No way Carter was her shining sun. He absolutely could not vanish into the ocean. Without finding any actual proof, nobody could legally declare him gone forever. Sylvia's face turned completely manic. Anyone getting close would feel absolute terror. Soon other guests vanished. One yacht remained. "Trust me, you are going to want to see this. Jump in with me." Only Sylvia and the expert search team remained here. From sunrise to sunset, Sylvia just stared at the endless ocean, totally lost in thought. Sometimes she muttered to herself. One crew member quietly snuck up and caught a few mysterious whispers. "Carter, where did you go? I know I messed up, okay? Just come out and let me see you. Or should I plunge into the waves too?" Those words proved she wanted to follow him into the deep unknown. Her loyal crew did not dare interrupt, but they hovered right nearby, totally terrified she might do something incredibly reckless. 2 whole months dragged by like this. The search squad finally threw in the towel. Boss Sylvia finding him now is completely like looking for a needle in a haystack. 2 months have vanished. "We refuse to just steal your cash. There is absolutely no chance we are finding him now." Compared to 2 months ago, Sylvia looked completely transformed by her intense longing for Carter. Nobody would ever believe this exhausted, messy woman with completely ruined hair was actually the once super stunning and incredibly untouchable boss Sylvia. Sylvia, looking totally drained, glared at the wild ocean. After a huge silence, she demanded just search for 1 more month. Her voice stayed quiet, but her tone was absolute steel. Seeing her so determined, the search crew sighed, gave up trying to comfort her, and agreed. Exactly 1 month later, the team walked up to Sylvia again, but before they could even speak, she simply whispered, "I know. We head back tomorrow." The huge yacht that vanished for 3 months finally sailed home, but Carter was truly gone forever. "Watch closely now." Sylvia sprinted off the boat straight toward her villa. Aboard that yacht, she found absolutely 0 clues about Carter. The salty ocean breeze only made her feel totally sick and frustrated. The absolute second she arrived, Sylvia sprinted straight to the study. She remembered Carter kept all their cute photos hidden in there, but the moment she burst inside, she completely froze. Every single photo was totally missing, totally panicking. Sylvia checked room after room, and right then it hit her like a truck. The entire massive villa felt strangely empty. It was not just the photos, her adorable handwritten love letters had completely vanished, too. Even her fancy auction treasures, which Carter always kept perfectly displayed on the study shelves, were gone. Sylvia, her eyes completely exhausted and red, gathered every servant together and coldly demanded who did this. But a tiny trace of sheer panic shook her firm voice. A totally crazy theory exploded in her mind, something she refused to even consider. The nervous butler and all the servants just stared, shaking their heads silently. Finally, two maids slowly raised their trembling hands. One random night recently, the boss secretly burned something in the garden. It looked like... Whatever they muttered next, Sylvia totally blocked out. That final tiny spark of hope in her chest completely disappeared. She stumbled backward, completely losing her balance. Carter actually destroyed all their precious memories himself. Sylvia stood there as her hands shook uncontrollably. The wildest mystery finally clicked. Carter planned this massive disappearing act a very long time ago. Since when? Tears flooded her vision again. She screamed out loud, "I completely refuse to believe this. I will definitely find you." You feel that too, right? Her messy mind finally cleared as crucial memories rushed back. She suddenly remembered someone super important, Carter's best buddy, Sean. Weeks ago, Sean randomly posted a super dramatic status about hating to say goodbye. When she asked about it, Carter smoothly lied, claiming Sean moved overseas next month and they would rarely hang out. A sudden spark hit Sylvia's racing mind. Was Sean really moving away, or was the runaway secretly Carter all along? Sylvia grabbed her hair, totally afraid to dig any deeper. Panicking, she whipped out her phone and frantically dialed Sean's number. It rang twice before he answered. "Sean, where exactly are you?" The guy on the other side sounded totally confused. "I am just at home." "Why is Carter okay?" Sylvia could barely speak. Faking total calm, she asked, "Are you not moving overseas? Why would I leave?" Was Carter not the one going away? Sean still had absolute zero clue about Sylvia's wild investigation, and before he could ask another question, she aggressively smashed the end call button. Sylvia crushed the phone in her shaking hand, her eyes wide with shock. Carter planned to escape overseas, and even Sean knew the secret, but nobody told her anything. An old hidden voice recording suddenly echoed loud inside Sylvia's frantic mind. "Carter, did you not know Sylvia already got rid of your baby?" For 3 months, Sylvia sailed the ocean, desperately searching for me after I took that huge plunge. But every wild journey eventually ends. When Sylvia returned to the home we shared for 3 months, the messy truth she desperately tried to ignore could not be hidden anymore. Every single secret sat completely exposed. Lately, Sylvia obsessed over every tiny memory of our dramatic time together, playing them on endless loop. She totally refused to admit it, but only one crazy truth remained. I knew about her secret romance with Julian for a very long time. For Sylvia, I was the bright sunshine saving her from shadows. She totally needed me. But Julian was the ultimate prize she chased since they were just little kids. What do you think happens next? Whenever Julian appeared, she would always run straight back to him. Let's dive right in. Sylvia thought she hid things perfectly, but I actually knew the absolute truth. Looking totally reluctant, Sylvia finally handed my personal phone over to her assistant to restore every file. She desperately needed to uncover what Julian was plotting lately and exactly how many other situations his dirty hands had entirely ruined. Once her assistant walked away, those heavy doors shut tight, leaving the massive villa totally silent. The servants stood completely quiet, watching Sylvia sobbing heavily 1 second, then suddenly looking up and laughing uncontrollably. They honestly thought the madam had completely lost her bearings. Everyone just kept their heads lowered, lips zipped tight, entirely too afraid to even make a peep. Luckily, Sylvia finally dragged herself upstairs shortly after. She locked her bedroom door, refusing food and water completely. She collapsed onto that huge master bed, taking deep breaths, but sadly couldn't find a single lingering trace of my familiar scent anywhere. Biting her lip hard, Sylvia blamed me for acting so ruthless, leaving her totally empty-handed. Then suddenly she slapped her own face twice, absolutely hating herself for foolishly losing someone so genuinely amazing. Sylvia just couldn't stop replaying memories from our last 6 years together. 6 years is huge. She honestly dreaded imagining her future life without me. How could she possibly move forward now Sylvia realized her mistakes went way beyond just that one single unfortunate incident? Day turned into night. By early morning, the assistant returned with the fully restored phone, plus she also handed over a highly unexpected and secret document. "Now pay attention here. Boss, you are actually pregnant again. Here is your medical report." Sylvia totally ignored that news, swiping intensely through my restored phone. She immediately opened my old chat logs with Julian. Every single text inside was pure provocation from him. "I am back in town now. Will you leave Sylvia alone? Sylvia and I sincerely love each other. You only took advantage of her before. I am officially back. Stop bothering her today. Carter, just back off completely. You see it, right? Even if you collapsed forever, Sylvia only has eyes for me now." Between those texts were tons of chaotic bed pictures. Sylvia aggressively flipped through every page, her fierce eyes looking ready to devour someone completely whole. Sylvia's temples pounded hard while she gritted her teeth, spitting his name like a fierce storm coming to sweep him away. Witnessing this pure rage, her assistant felt absolutely terrified. "Boss, please try to calm down. Seriously, calm down. Despite everything, the Jang family helped you out before. Julian is their only child. You really must remember your past connections." Hearing the Jang family mentioned, Sylvia paused. But before the assistant relaxed, Sylvia stated word by word, "Fine, then I will happily repay the Jang family with everything I have. As for Carter and my child, let Julian and his offspring face severe consequences." Hearing this heavy threat, the poor assistant broke into a cold sweat. Was she planning some massive payback right here? The anxious assistant tried pleading further, but a sudden, frantic knocking violently echoed from the massive front doors of the villa. "Sylvia, hey Sylvia, it is me, Julian. Please open this door now. You clearly saw it, right? You are having my baby. From today onward, our trio will be a happy family forever, okay?" You and I both felt that hearing Julian, the assistant, sprinted over, terrified that if he actually busted inside, he would completely set an explosive Sylvia off. But Sylvia coldly stopped her, sounding totally commanding. "Let him in." While her assistant hesitated slightly, the heavy door forcefully swung open. Julian clumsily stumbled inside. "Sylvia, you finally saw it, right? You are carrying my baby. From now on, our little family will stay together forever, okay?" During those first few days back from the ocean, Julian suffered constant nightmares. Sylvia seemed entirely too terrifying. He genuinely feared she might completely ruin him, yet he had finally escaped abroad and returned safely. Sadly, his dear parents were gone forever. If he failed to hold on to Sylvia tightly, how could he survive? Julian struggled with absolutely nowhere to go. Luckily, things shifted. He quickly discovered Sylvia was actually pregnant again. Sylvia had felt incredibly lonely since childhood. The Jang family only ever provided her with basic material support. Julian knew she deeply craved a real family. With this new baby, Sylvia would absolutely forgive his past mistakes. Julian calculated everything perfectly. Unfortunately, he severely underestimated my solid place inside Sylvia's heart. Hearing his awful words, her face showed pure disgust and loathing, lacking any ounce of anticipation. Julian simply could not believe Sylvia was acting so heartlessly cold. Sporting teary, affectionate eyes, he approached her carefully, reaching out for her stomach, grabbing her hands, begging tearfully, "Sylvia, I know I was completely wrong, but that was never my intention. I was just so desperate. I loved you too much and wanted us to be together. If my parents saw us this happy, they would definitely be thrilled too. Right, Sylvia?" Hearing Julian's pathetic whining, Sylvia only pictured his nasty, provocative texts to me. Sylvia coldly sneered, aggressively grabbing onto Julian's chin. "That is where we leave it for now." Her freezing eyes locked on, grip tightening fiercely. "Julian, you still dare approach me?" He looked absolutely terrified by her wild aura. "Stick with me here." He raised both trembling hands, completely terrified of hurting her precious baby. But after a few quick movements, Julian totally gave up. He collapsed like absolute mud, trembling and barely struggling. Pure panic made tears stream down his face, splashing right onto Sylvia's hand. Disgusted, she immediately let him go. Bright red marks instantly popped up on Julian's face. Looking at this pathetic guy, Sylvia ruthlessly shredded the medical report. She coldly announced she would only choose Carter forever. "As for this mistake, guards, take me straight to the hospital right now. He wants a baby, I will have it removed today." Julian sobbed, asking how she could do this. She called it a tiny mistake. He just kneeled there, his entire body shaking non-stop. Sylvia was totally determined to erase it all. Julian panicked. He actually thought this baby was his ultimate trump card. He never expected it to be the exact spark driving her absolutely crazy. Now watch closely. Seeing guards rush in, Julian totally lost his mind and screamed in pure desperation, asking why she was doing this. "Why act so terribly harsh to yourself just to remove my baby? You obviously love me. You abandoned Carter for me before. Why switch up now? Is Carter gone forever and you still want to play the fiercely loyal partner?" Julian screamed himself completely hoarse, but Sylvia could not even be bothered to look back. Seeing the huge bodyguards rush over, she coldly ordered them to remove him. Julian threw a massive tantrum, refusing everyone entirely. But how could a scrawny guy beat those giant bodyguards? In one quick flash, his arms were pinned and he got dragged away. He yelled that she was so cold and watched someone drown without even helping. "You are the one who messed up. Can you really blame me? You lost control and now you punish others instead. Just you wait. Sylvia, karma will strike." Julian finally saw her unbelievable ruthlessness and total heartlessness. He just kept loudly cursing all the way outside forever. "We all feel that heavy tension, right?" Her assistant nervously offered advice. Sylvia waved it off, saying her own pain was absolutely nothing. As she spoke, Sylvia choked up instantly. She opened her mouth but simply could not say more. It took forever for her emotions to finally settle. Then she ordered her assistant to thoroughly investigate Julian. "Make it super detailed," she demanded. The assistant replied and left. After the servants finished cleaning the massive house, they scurried off to the annex quietly. Returning from the hospital, Sylvia stood alone in the huge villa. She felt abandoned by the world. Unable to bear the deep longing, Sylvia opened the wine cabinet, popped several bottles, skipped the glass, and chugged huge gulps. Only when the drink hit her system did her aching heart finally feel slightly better. Sylvia simply locked herself inside the grand villa, refusing food daily, relying completely on drinks to numb her feelings and survive the days. Sylvia lay flat on this cold floor, unable to tell if she slept. She barely had a sober moment all day. She loved this foggy state because inside her deep dreams, she would occasionally see me smiling. The me inside her dreams was wonderfully gentle. Her belly was slightly swollen, wearing a white dress. I stood inside the beautiful flower garden, pruning branches, smiling brightly as I watched her. The evening sun shined on me like a beautiful painting. Sylvia watched, totally dazed. I walked over smiling, telling her to protect our baby. Sylvia was so excited she lost her words, just foolishly scratching her head. I totally laughed at her silliness and she never got mad, just happily cherished the person right in front of her. The dream was so beautiful that real-life Sylvia actually smiled in her deep sleep, feeling super affectionate. Sylvia leaned in for a kiss, but suddenly her arms were empty. I had totally vanished into thin air. "Carter." Sylvia frantically reached out desperately, wanting to grab the person in her beautiful dream, but caught only empty air. She suddenly woke up. Before her was the empty room. Where was Carter? In a rare, sober moment, Sylvia felt all bright color drain from her world. Her heart felt brutally crushed by invisible hands, unable to beat, unable to breathe at all. Sylvia painfully clutched her chest, gasping heavily. It seemed only by screaming my name could she ease that massive aching pain slightly. "Carter, I am sorry." Sylvia knows she was wrong. If time rewound, she would absolutely love you with all her heart. Unfortunately, it was too late. I vanished without a word, never giving her any chance to fix her big mistakes. Sylvia was shattered. How could she possibly live on? "So what do you and I make of this?" Sylvia bitterly grabbed her wine. "If I only exist in dreams, she will stay happily drunk forever. Stick with me. We are waking up in a crazy hospital mystery." Seeing her eyes open, the butler teared up immediately. "Miss, you are finally awake. You have been completely out cold for 7 long days." Laying there made Sylvia feel super dizzy. She mumbled, "Where is Assistant Young?" He replied, "She visited you early this morning, then rushed straight back to the busy company." "I will call her right now," the caring butler shouted as he sprinted out the door. Sylvia stayed resting on the bed, getting a bunch of careful checks from her doctor. She drank way too much. Her body was completely exhausted. She needed to focus on recovering and could not leave just yet. After the doctor gave a huge list of rules and saw Sylvia nodding along, he finally stepped out, feeling totally relieved. Shortly after that, her loyal assistant arrived. "Boss, you are finally awake now." "That is awesome." After Young gave a quick update on their business, she mentioned, "Boss, I investigated Julian and his time abroad just like you asked. Everything is clear. It shows 6 years ago, Julian and an artist named Anthony decided to travel and live in France together. After that, they traveled across many different countries. Their final stop was Sicily. That Anthony guy was charming but sneaky, tricking many people and spending all his cash like crazy. Many people, once they stopped being useful to him, were completely abandoned for quick cash. The wealthy Zhang family lost all their funds this way. Even his parents had a terrible accident while searching for him. Julian stayed clueless until the very end, finally realizing the awful truth before running back home. The assistant finished talking and just stood there staring at Sylvia's completely blank expression, unsure of what to add. "Understood. Just head back to work." Sylvia waved her off, forcing an incredibly awkward smile on her face. "Now pay attention because you and I never expected this." 6 years ago, Julian chased true love, but a scammer actually tricked him into leaving. 6 years later, Julian returned loudly claiming his love, but it was really just a pathetic excuse to escape his absolute nightmare. From the very start, how much of that romance was genuine, even Julian himself probably had absolutely no idea what was actually real. And what about her 6 years ago? She risked everything for him. 6 years later, she bravely loved again for that exact same guy. Sylvia, usually so strong and sharp in business, felt like a total fool. A complete idiot from start to finish, totally confused by her own choices. When Julian returned, she dropped everything for him, completely ruining the pure bond between her and me with so many wild lies and betrayals. Now our child was gone. I leaped into the ocean to disappear forever. Did she have any reason left to keep going? Her choice was made instantly. Sylvia stared at the cloudy sky, walking slowly toward the open window step by step. But spotting the hard stone railing outside, she gave a sad smile and stepped away. Would it be wrong to leave without you beside me? Or do you still resent me? Sylvia dropped to the floor, completely lost in her thoughts, endlessly apologizing to me. The butler tried helping her up, but got instantly pushed away. Leave me alone right now! Get out! The loud drama in the room escalated. A nurse heard the shouting, rushed in, saw Sylvia struggling, and grabbed a doctor for some calming medicine. Only then did the room finally settle. 3 days later, she left. But I know what you are thinking. Who is that mysterious guy catching her eye near the hospital entrance? Carter. Sylvia sprinted after him, completely ignoring everything else. Closer and closer. She grabbed his arm, feeling that familiar warmth right away. Sylvia was so thrilled her hands kept shaking. Carter. The guy turned around, looking surprised for a second, but then just started laughing out loud. What is wrong? Mixed me up here. I will give you this chocolate. This treat will cheer you up. Sylvia stared blankly. In her confusion, his face perfectly blended with mine. For a second, Sylvia felt totally lost. Could there really be such a coincidence? Same height, exact same hair, same chocolate, both at a hospital. Sylvia knew this guy showing up was not a simple accident. I am sorry. You look exactly like an old friend. Mind telling me your actual name? Sylvia apologized, but her grip only grew tighter. It looked like if he stayed quiet, she would never let go. The man ignored her intense grip and smiled playfully. Maybe I just have a common face. My name is Liam. I hope I can meet this friend someday. Then please share your contact details. So, what do we make of this moving forward? Sylvia magically kept bumping into Liam absolutely everywhere. Let's dive into this mysterious story hanging around downstairs parking garages or that familiar restaurant. Liam's cheerful arrival helped Sylvia forget my dramatic exit. Their bond grew naturally, and soon enough, Liam happily moved right into her massive villa. Everyone noticed Sylvia looking much more energetic and cheerful, and they all breathed easier. Somehow, Julian caught wind of this. Looking totally messy and emotional, he sprinted over early that morning to angrily confront Sylvia. Sylvia, you are so fickle. Carter faded away, and you acted completely heartbroken, blaming his tragic disappearance entirely on my shoulders. Now look at you decisively finding a new guy and bringing him home, acting high and mighty. Stop denying it. You would fall for another man anyway. You even erased our child. You are simply so cruel. Sylvia, you really are terrible. Ever since watching Sylvia make that harsh choice, Julian had been breaking down daily. Sylvia blocked him everywhere. Whenever he bravely tried visiting the villa to find her, those strict bodyguards would easily spot him and strictly drag him away. Julian finally sneaked inside today, totally determined to vent all his frustration. Seeing Sylvia's incredibly cold expression, he grew even more furious. He dramatically pulled a sharp blade from behind, dangerously waving it as he angrily lunged forward. Watch out! A cold flash swept mere centimeters from Sylvia, and Liam's cheerful face turned instantly pale in sheer terror and absolute shock. He bravely sprinted toward Sylvia, quickly taking the fierce strike. Realizing he actually hit someone, Julian's eyes grew incredibly wide in disbelief. Trembling heavily, he finally dropped the dangerous weapon and ran away extremely fast. Liam took the full, fierce strike. His severe injury poured out rapidly, completely draining all the bright color right from his shocked face. Now pay close attention here. He secretly smiled, finally hearing that familiar system notification chime ringing out loud. System alert. The target's current darkness level hits 80. After my dramatic exit, this mysterious mission world experienced another absolutely massive shift. Liam was the new tasker. But his confident smile vanished rapidly as those mysterious system alerts started ringing one after another. System alert, the target's darkness level is currently 90. System alert, the target's darkness level rapidly drops all the way to 40. System alert, the target's current affection level sits at 20. System alert, target's affection level hits 80. Data fluctuated wildly. Warning, serious warning, massive system error, critical system error detected right now. After some short electronic beeps, Liam completely lost contact with the mysterious system. He looked at Sylvia confused, only to see her projecting an intensely chilling aura. Staring straight at him, she spoke wild words that completely and utterly terrified him. "Liam, you simply aren't from this world." Sylvia wasn't even asking him. Her terrifying certainty made Liam stumble backward, but the decisive Sylvia pressed forward relentlessly, her strong hands firmly gripping his very fragile throat right there. Never underestimate a female lead's massive power. Just a tiny bit of force could easily end his entire journey today. "Tell me, where is Carter?" Sylvia fiercely refused to believe I jumped into the ocean to vanish forever. Out at sea, she strongly refused to admit or believe it. But returning to the massive villa, every single mysterious clue clearly proved that my extremely dramatic departure was totally premeditated. Even that dramatic ocean jump was simply part of my plan. Julian was merely an insignificant variable in my grand exit plan. In the phone calendar, that specific date was clearly marked with 3 simple words: leave the world. The more Sylvia stared at those words, the stranger everything felt. We both saw this coming. Meeting the mysterious Liam finally made all those incredibly messy clues snap perfectly into a straight line. "Tell me everything if you want to survive." Sylvia's strong hands kept tightening. Firmly pinned down, Liam simply could not breathe any air. Tears completely covered his face, eyes practically bulging. "Okay, I will speak. I will speak. Let me go," Sylvia finally released him. Legs totally soft, Liam completely collapsed on the floor, gasping heavily for fresh air. Terrified by losing the system and facing Sylvia's intense expression, firmly securing his own survival became his ultimate priority. Liam quickly spilled everything like running water, eagerly explaining the system and missions in detail. "Carter wasn't from this world. This is a mission dimension. You are the female lead and his absolute main mission target right now. After fully completing his mission, he safely returns home." Liam's shocking words left the strong Sylvia utterly stunned. Only today did Sylvia finally understand what I truly meant during her very emotional love confession. "Then you must always love me. If you stop, I will clearly leave. Never lie to me. I know absolutely everything happening." Back then, she naively assumed I was just acting spoiled, playfully demanding promises to always love me. But honestly, it turned out to be a very serious warning. I was a tasker with a powerful system assisting me. If I wanted her dramatic lies to be with Julian, whether clumsy or clever, were actually all instantly and totally exposed. Julian didn't matter at all. When her heart wandered, you and I know I saw absolutely everything. Sylvia finally uncovered the full truth, but it was crushing. This nightmare entirely her own doing. Stick with me here. Luckily, I was still around, meaning she still had a chance to fix this mess. "How do I reach him?" Sylvia demanded. But Liam just trembled, shaking his head. "I have no idea." "What about your system? Talk to it." "I can't reach it right now," Liam stammered. Sylvia cursed, her eyes narrowing. "Why the heck not? I think those wild data spikes caused a massive system error." Sylvia actually laughed. She finally had perfect leverage over this mighty system. She glared at him and ordered, "When it reboots, pass along a message for me. Take me straight to Carter." Liam kept his head completely down. Sylvia didn't care at all, adding casually, "Otherwise, let the whole system stay broken. Let this entire world collapse so we can all vanish together." "Sounds like a blast. Honestly, I gave up on caring a long time ago." Sylvia's voice was quiet but incredibly absolute. Liam didn't dare doubt her for even a single second. He knew she genuinely wanted to drag the whole world down. Then days later, the annoying system finally got its data back. Liam frantically relayed Sylvia's exact words to the system, definitely adding some extra dramatic flair. "Sylvia has completely lost it. She knows absolutely everything. If you reject her demands, we are entirely finished, and your precious system gets wiped out too." The system panicked. This was a first. It hastily sent a report to the main network. After days of tense waiting, it finally reappeared. But this time, the official tasker switched from Liam to Sylvia. Sylvia struck a deal. From this moment on, she was officially a system tasker. Now watch closely because here is the crazy catch. If she clears exactly 99 missions, she gets to freely pick any world she wants, which obviously includes mine. Before fully binding, the system warned, these 99 quests vary wildly. Finishing them all might take 10 whole years, maybe even decades. Are you absolutely sure? Sylvia didn't hesitate at all. I accept. The heavy torment of recent months just vanished. The universe finally gave her an opening, and whatever the cost, she was not missing this. This was her one shot to see me again. The moment she agreed, an intensely blinding white light flashed right across her eyes. When her vision cleared, she was standing right in the middle of a totally unknown world. After getting her new objective, Sylvia went straight to work. In under 3 years, she crushed an insane 40 missions. She basically stopped sleeping. Even the system begged her to take a breather, but she refused to slow down for even a second. Could he fall for someone else back in his world? Sylvia couldn't even dare to imagine that. She just needed to see me pushing herself to the absolute limit. But guess what? My timeline wasn't going to pause for her. Year 7 of being back home, I actually got married. My gorgeous bride was tall, gentle, and had this amazingly artistic vibe about her. The way she looked at me was incredibly tender. Honestly, anyone would easily get lost in beautiful eyes like those. You felt that heartbreak too, right? Sylvia could actually watch my entire real-world life unfold. It was a tiny privilege the system reluctantly allowed. Around 2 years prior, I headed out west for a teaching job. She traveled there to photograph the epic Northwest landscapes. A roadblock stopped our cars, and that is exactly how we met. Soon, her landscape photos featured a certain guy. Sometimes smiling, sometimes frowning, or just playfully pretending to be mad at the camera. Despite the changing expressions, the version of me captured in that lens looked incredibly vividly alive. Sylvia gently traced those images with her fingers, staring silently before breaking down completely. Back then, she used to photograph me too. We used to have countless pictures together. Too bad they all got destroyed. But hey, do not call me the heartless one here. She only has herself to blame for taking it all for granted. I had big dreams and my own ambitious career. I was never the type to sit around doing nothing. Yet for her, I stayed trapped in that alternate world's fancy gilded cage. Sylvia realized her massive mistakes went way deeper than just that one single terrible incident. On my actual wedding day, Sylvia made the system deliver a super basic flower bouquet, desperately pretending she was part of the crowd. Post-wedding, the system literally asked if she wanted to quit early. Carter has already moved on. Honestly, your recent quest clearance rate is way above quota. If you are truly done, I can easily request to send you right back to your original timeline. Hearing that, Sylvia just firmly shook her head. A reality without Carter, I am not going anywhere. Finally, 10 agonizing years later, she cleared all 99 quests and successfully crossed over into my reality. Trust me, this part hits deep. She intentionally wore the custom white dress I gave her. She styled her hair perfectly, did flawless makeup, and then paused at the mirror, quietly plucking a few stray white hairs from her temples. Stick with me here. Once everything looked perfect, the system guided her straight toward an amusement park. The system promised I was waiting there. 10 years had already passed. Sylvia traded her sharp edges for pure, gentle elegance. She turned plenty of heads walking by, but her only mission was finding me. After an hour of searching, her eyes finally sparked with pure hope. She took a step closer, but seeing the truth, her feet basically grew roots, completely paralyzed and unable to take even one more step. Right by the carousel, I was holding our adorable little daughter on a bright white flying horse. Her sweet laughter echoed everywhere as she happily called out Mommy to the nearby camera lens. "Mommy, I want to kiss Daddy." The woman holding the camera playfully pouted, scolding her. "No kissing allowed. Daddy is all Mommy's now. Watch closely because here is where it hurts." I laughed out loud, looking from my daughter to my beautiful lover. Sylvia immediately stumbled backward, hiding in the shadows like a total outsider, secretly watching a happiness she could never share. My name was trapped right in her throat, impossible to swallow but impossible to say. We actually had a baby once too. Sadly, our little one was just way too small. We literally never found out if it was a boy or a girl. If she was a girl, Sylvia would have bought her the absolute prettiest dresses. Imagine if she were the one holding that camera right now. How amazing would that be? But sadly, it was just pure heartbreak. Sylvia painfully dropped her head, letting that crushing sadness take over. Looking back up, I had completely vanished. Panic hit Sylvia. She searched everywhere. Turning around, a woman blocked her path. Miss, do you know my husband? You saw that too, right? She was staring. Sylvia desperately wanted to scream, I am his real wife. We absolutely never divorced. But logic instantly crushed that wild impulse. Sylvia simply shook her head and calmly lied. I am sorry. I just wanted to ask about the little girl. My child is abroad and barely visits home. Hearing this, the other woman actually felt pretty guilty. Sylvia honestly did not mind even buying the sweet little girl an ice cream. Seeing the treat, the kid's eyes completely lit up into happy crescents. Prompted by her mom, the kid waved super hard at Sylvia. Thank you, Auntie. Bye-bye, nice Auntie. I looked over too, catching just a glimpse. Sylvia did not dare disturb my peace, walking away completely heartbroken. She told herself over and over again. Her original wish came true. She could finally live in the exact same world as me. Just seeing me happy was absolutely enough, right? Even if someone else held my heart now, she felt perfectly content. Sylvia walked with her head down for ages. Finally, so reluctantly, she took one last look at that bustling amusement park. With me gone, she forced a painful smile. Be happy forever. Goodbye, my love. You and I just witnessed one truly heartbreaking, unforgettable ending.